Okay, everybody, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining today for our presentation. I just had a question in chat. Yes, I will record the presentation today. We'll post it on our site, and you can play it back if needed later on. I'm just going to do some quick introductory information, and then we'll get right into the meat of the presentation about building a leave request system in SharePoint. So welcome. Thanks everyone for being here. So first, I just want to give some background. My name is Will Cooper. I am a Microsoft developer, SharePoint developer, and that's really my focus. I do lots of stuff with SharePoint and everything related to SharePoint, including all the tools in the Office 365 platform. I've been working with Infowise Ultimate Forms now for several years, and it is a key part of the tools I use to build solutions for customers in SharePoint. I really love using them. They've made a huge difference for me in terms of what I'm able to build and how I'm able to get things done. Just to tell you a little bit about Infowise, our focus is on allowing for tools to build forms-based solutions very easily. And we're about making improvements, adding features all the time. And that's something I really love about our team and our tools, is that it is constantly improving and evolving, which is great. These tools are a full forms solutions. They deploy completely inside of your SharePoint environment, and it is a comprehensive set of tools. So not only does it allow you to do forms, but it lets you do workflow and print templates and charting and database import and just a whole bunch of things, really everything you need to build out full solutions. I do want to let you guys know we're going to have a prize later in the presentation. We'll do a drawing for an embroidered Infowise shirt that is limited to folks living in the United States only, just because of the postage challenges on that front. So that'll come up later on. Another thing I want to tell you is what I'll present today is going to be loaded into our site as a template. So you can actually download and install what I showed to you today as a template in your environment once you've installed our trial software. So we'll go ahead and move on now. Just some other ground rules. In the GoToWebinar interface, there is a questions panel. And although everybody's on mute, we do want your feedback and I do want your questions. Just enter in there. Please be patient if you don't get a response right away. I promise you that either myself or someone on our team are going to stay on our presentation and answer your questions in the end. So please be patient if you don't get a response right away, but we do want to answer all of your questions. All right, so let's get into Leave Request System and talk about what we're doing. So kind of key things, here's the list of things I know that we would want in a system for this. We want to have a self-service system. We want to have some efficiencies. That means we want a central dashboard. We want for all employees to be able to go to that dashboard and do whatever they need to do. That means making requests for leave when they want to take vacation. That means managers need to have an easy way to approve those requests. And then we need to be able to have tracking. How many days of vacation has somebody taken for the year? How many days do they have left? That type of thing. Things that typically your HR folks will be involved in. And then also we'd like to have a calendar view to show those things. So there's lots of bells and whistles and things we want, but that's really our key core system. So that's what we're going to look at today. So those are key features we want to incorporate. This slide is just about general principles in terms of building tools in SharePoint. I really encourage the minimum viable product approach, MVP, meaning start simple, clean, get your core features and functions up, and then you can add extra features and functionality from there. But basically work towards a functional and working system as quickly as you can so you can get feedback and test and get input from your users. So that's what this is about. It's about keeping things in bite-sized pieces, not getting bogged down with a million requirements coming out of the gate, that type of thing. Just to tell you about our tools, it's really about making things easy. For most everybody on this call, I'm sure they've run into challenges in SharePoint. And although it's a great platform, there are things about it that can be frustrating and there are limitations. And I really think of our tools as solving a lot of those challenges and allowing you to do things that are otherwise very difficult to do out of the box. It really provides a solution to those challenges. These tools will work for Office 365 or for on-premise SharePoint. Naturally, there's some differences between those two different types of SharePoint environments, but I want to let you know that everything I'm demonstrating you can set up and use and will work in either type of SharePoint environment. Generally, when we're working on these, it's an iterative approach. You tend to make some adjustments, test your form out, confirm the changes you make, and then go back and make some design or functionality changes, that type of thing. So you kind of go through this cycle, and that's what it's like building out solutions with this. All right, so we're at the end of my boring PowerPoint deck. We're going to just jump right to SharePoint now. Let's take a look at this leave tracking system. All right, here I am in SharePoint Online, plain vanilla modern team site. And I'm going to start by walking you through the user interface. I'm going to show you what's there. I'm going to show you how it works so that you can see what it looks like from the user perspective. And then we'll come back through it, and I'm going to show you how it's set up, how our tools work, and how you're able to really easily configure these forms and functionality to get the things that I've demonstrated. So this would be the user dashboard, just kind of clean and simple. And naturally, you want your employees to go to their own requests. So I have a My Requests view, and this is where the process begins. This is how I'm going to request vacation time. Now, out of the box in SharePoint, I don't have any kind of custom form design or anything like that. So right away, you're going to see something quite a lot different. The form that you see in front of you is one that I set up with our form designer tool, which is really intuitive and easy. I'm going to come to that a little later on. I'll show you how that works. But we have a nice friendly form for our users. Notice that when I'm in the new form, there's a banner at the top. It says new leave requests, and that the interface is extremely easy to work with. So Body's my manager, and I'm going to request some vacation. And I just put in the start date of my vacation, the end date. So I'm going to take vacation for the week of the 26th. And then this is where I put in the line. So the way the system works, it's trying to provide some flexibility because, although typically people might take a week off or things like that, there's variation in that. Sometimes I might take 2 days and then 2 days the next week, and I might want that consolidated in one leave request. So the way this tool works, you just pick out those days one by one, and it's very fast, streamlined entry method. So by default, it's 8 hours for the full day. Then I've got some categories. So I just came up with some arbitrary categories. Really easy to change these if you want to. By default, it's PTO. I just hit this little plus button. You'll notice there's a little roll up. It's going to keep an hours total for me. So I just put in all my days here. So let's go ahead and do that. In fact, I'm going to put in a half day for one of them just to show, that might be something you want to do. But, you can see this is not going to be a difficult thing for your users to work with, I understand, because it's very simple. There's nothing, complicated going on at all. So it's rolling up my total. Let's do a half day on the last day. Let's just say I'm going to work half a day that day, hit a plus. And then you can see it's got me down for 36 hours. And also you can bake in instruction to the form. I really like this. Instead of having some separate training document or things like that, you can just enter formatted text or instructions, which your users just see right in the process. So very user-friendly approach. Okay, and then I have an extra setup. You don't have to do this, but I added a little confirmation and says, hey, have you reviewed all your information carefully and you're ready to submit? You know, we don't want them to do like a partial form or something like that. So I have a confirmation dialog and then it will save. All right, so this is my request dashboard. So, you know, I see a little bar that shows how many total hours. At this stage, I don't have an approval for that. I've just requested it. So what's going to happen is we have a special email template and alert system, and it's going to automatically send an email to the manager. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So the email goes out. It's automatically to the person in the email, so it's dynamic. It gives a little roll up showing you know, the hours and the dates that were requested, including the start and the end date. And you know, the manager doesn't have to click through a bunch of screens to go do this approval. When they click on that edit item link in the bottom of the email, it's going to take them directly to the form. So very simple for them to work with. So again, there's nothing difficult. That's really a key aspect of this whole system I want to demonstrate is it's kind of dummy proof, if you will. So the manager goes in, they're going to go directly to the edit form, and their process also is easy. Now notice the header changed. Now it says edit leave request. I have the system auto generating a unique identifier for the record. Very straightforward. I'm looking in here. Right now I'm wearing my manager hat, and I say, okay, those dates look good. And I can just go in here and say, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to say that's approved. It tells me what to do. Manager, review the leave request, change the status to approved, and sign below. So I can put a handwritten signature. Of course, that's not normally anything SharePoint. I hit submit, and same thing. Have you reviewed carefully? Yeah, I've reviewed. It's fine. And this is approving the request. Okay, so there's the signature field. It records the name and a date timestamp of the person who did that, so we can make sure everything's on the up and up. And now that it's approved, again, we're going to have these email notifications to prompt action. So that is going to auto-generate an email back to the requester. It says, hey, your leave request was approved. It's going to CC the manager, has a link back to this site in case they want to check their hours, that type of thing. Okay, so that handles the request part of the system. Okay, now we want to think about kind of broader level. You know, we're trying to track hours. You know, everybody gets a certain number of days for the year, and kind of thinking things in terms of, you know, HR tracking or things on the annual basis. Okay, so we have a separate list for that. So part of the email notification, you know, we can go ahead and notify somebody on the HR team or whoever is responsible for monitoring those calendars. So what we also have is tracking. Now, for the employee, we have it default to my tracking. Of course, you don't want people being nosy Neds and digging around and looking at other people's stuff, but you can set permissions on these records and control who can see the information. I'm going to go to the all items. So I'm being the HR person right now, and here's our annual tracking. Okay, so this shows the roll-up totals for the year. So what I'm going to do if I'm in HR is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to update this information. So what you've got is a single record per employee per year. Okay, because usually that's kind of how you do your tracking for vacation. So here's all my 2020 records for the employees. I can see this nice visual indicators, progress bars to show, okay, well, how many hours were allotted at the beginning of the year? That's the red bars. How many hours have been taken? That's the yellow bar. And then, you know, what do you have left? That's the green bar. Also, notice I have some icons, kind of an indicator to show when the gas tank's next to empty. So to think about it. So you notice if it's under, the way I have this set up, if it's under 40, it shows kind of a red exclamation. If it's less than 80, it's kind of a yellow flag. If it's more than that, it's a green flag. So this is kind of a nice, easy way to check anybody who's low on hours or something like that. So this is how HR can kind of manage things. So let me go into that form and show you that. It's a similar type of form, but this is for HR to vote. So the request has been approved. So just as an example, I'm going to have these days. So I'm the HR person right now and say, okay, well, that week was approved. I'll just go ahead and put them on. And I just click this little plus icon, similar type of thing. There's, I've got the employee, the manager, the year, and then I've got some things. And again, I only need to create one record per year per employee. I have carried over days, the accrual rate, do they get 3 or 4 weeks of vacation? And then that will auto calculate. I'll show you how that works in just one second. Let me add another day in here. I just want to demonstrate how this works. Notice that the hours total and the remaining hours are being auto calculated. So that was something I was able to set up in the form. So that's what HR does. The employees would be able to see this information. So what you are able to do is you can control the form fields and forms so that HR has the ability to make the updates, but your employees can come here and check and say, hey, how many hours do I have left? Instead of just wasting a lot of time with sending emails back and forth, HR person say, hey, no problem, just click on my tracking and it'll just take them right to that screen and they can see at any given time how many hours do they have left. Now, like I said, you only have to put in one record per year. I just want to show you how the new form works though. So if you mention kind of a January 1 or at the end of the year when you're getting this all prepped up for the next year, you just kind of go through employee by employee. I can pick the employee. I just put in their manager, manager's Lottie. This is for 2020. Well, let's say we're doing 2021. And then this is where HR needs to kind of key in some information, right? In some cases, they may have carried over some days from the previous year. I put in their accrual rate. Does this employee get 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is? You just set that up, and then it'll auto calculate. So it did 5 plus 25, but I can tweak that, and then I just multiply that 8 by 8 to get the start hours. Now it's trying to help me out, but I can't override those if I want to. And then when I save the form, everything will auto update. So this is just kind of what I do at the beginning of the year, just to kind of like prep everything and get the tracking record ready for the year. So there's Tim in the list. So he's ready and we can kind of put those hours in. Okay, so that's how HR kind of manages the tracking. Like I say, they have an edit mode. They're going to edit those, but the employee is only going to have permissions to just see where they are. And of course, they could email or ask a question if they have an issue with that. Naturally, another part of this, when people are on vacation, it's nice to have a calendar to show when people are going to be gone, that type of thing. So we do have a calendar view. Microsoft, for whatever reason, completely removed calendar functionality from modern SharePoint pages, and with the web parts, but we do offer this as a part of our tools. So what you see in here is you'd see a list of the employees, and then when I roll over, it'll give me detailed. So looks like I'm getting lots of vacation this month. That sounds good to me. But it says Will Cooper's out from the 12th to the 16th, and these will just stack right on top of each other. One thing that's kind of cool is it'll actually go into different views too. So I can go into a week view calendar, or I can go to the daily or monthly, or even if you want to get real fancy, you can go to a Gantt view. So there's some versatility in terms of how that works. Okay, so this can accommodate all kinds of features. If I were really building this out for a large company, things that I can think of is, we'd want to have administrative dashboards. We'd create different views on the list. And probably you have different categories more than what I had in there. So this is, a very good starting point. We've got our core system. So I want to kind of get into the development aspect, how you set this up, because that's really pretty easy to work with also. And that's really the thing that gets me excited. When you have our tool set up, it's a app model. We do offer our software free for 30 days for a trial for you to check this out. So that's the most important thing you can take away from this today is if you haven't tried these tools, you can get that for free. So you install our app and site contents, and once that's there, it opens up the toolbox, I like to call it. In your ribbon toolbar, you'll see the design button, and that takes us to the settings hub for all the different Infowise functions that you can do. And I'm going to show you how I did some of these forms. So I'm on the request form, and the form designer is the first thing I'm going to show. So this is Form Designer. It's a drag and drop style interface. I can just drag fields out in the form, apply settings to them, put them wherever I want, so on and so on. And as I said, this, of course, is completely non-existent in SharePoint otherwise. And then I can apply rules and things like that. So I've set up some styling, background colors, borders, things like that. Incredibly easy to work with and set that. Somebody tells me they just can't stand blue. I could just come here and change that to a nice peach color, change it, and it literally is just a couple clicks to do things like that. I didn't have to do any fancy CSS or anything. I'm literally just using a color picker control and setting things like the borders. So just make a few clicks, and that's really all there is to that. We do have these containers. That's kind of the boxes in the form, so you can do these kind of grid style layouts, and that's what lets me do things like change column counts if I want to do some things like that. So that's pretty easy. So basically, you just drag your fields into the form, and then, as I say, you can put in instructions and things like that very easily. Those are all in the controls on the left-hand side. And then you might remember I had a different header depending on which form you're in. I can do permissions rules. So in this case, I have this information on the new form, and I have a rule that says, make that show on the new form only. And then for the edit form, same type of deal. Let's say, hey, show that on the edit. So you see both of those there, but basically it's conditionally showing content based on the rules. There's a million things you can do in Form Designer. It's really awesome. You can do security controlled fields. You can do custom validation. You can create fields from here. It's just really awesome. And I'm honestly not aware of any other kind of form building tool that's this streamlined in SharePoint. And the name of the game is speed and simplicity. It just lets you do this stuff fast. So I can just make changes, and when I'm done, click publish, and that's literally all there is to it. And I can do this all directly in SharePoint. Okay, so I'm going to leave out of here. Whoop. Okay, so there's some other things I want to show you. The calendar control, the way that I did that, we have these web parts, there's event calendars, and I just created it in here. And all I had to do to set up the event calendar was just give it a title, and I did some configuration. And I can control certain features like what I want to show in the title, what information to show on hover, that type of thing. It's all drop-down pickers and text boxes. There's no coding, no programming anywhere at all, anywhere in the process. So, that's good news for any of you guys who've had to battle through some of those things. And then I can do things like, workflow. So if you want to do certain things, in this case, I have a value I want to pass to a field. You can do things like update records, create records, emails can be triggered from here, print templates, that type of thing. Speaking of which, email alerts, we have a comprehensive email alert system. I had a couple of rules for this one, not very complicated, but basically the idea is you can define a trigger condition, and based on that trigger, you can define the email content that you want to go out. So you can just do that from email administration. All right, there you go. So it's being a little slow to load because of our web meeting. I'll just show you a little about how that works. I just find the recipients. In this case, it's the manager and the record and the requester. I say when an item's added, send that, and then I can do a template. Our template tool looks like this. You have a visual interface. I can highlight information and get it to look however I want. I can polish it up. I can put tables or images in, and then you can insert the field content. So this is where I insert those fields, like the start and end date, that type of thing. So that's really cool to work with, that's kind of a key part of the systems we have. So that's kind of our tools. That's how all of these things were created. I just did it all with those tools. You really didn't take a lot of time to set this up. Another aspect was the associated items functionality, that repeating table. One thing that's cool is I can look at those line items right from the dashboard. And again, this is something that's not normally part of SharePoint. What it's doing is allowing you to have parent and child lists. So it lets you have line items, a repeating table, if you will, in forms. And in this type of system, that's really important. That's part of the Infowise configuration as well. So let me do this. I'm going to go into our site, and I just wanted to talk to you about next steps, because it's one thing for me to just say how awesome this stuff is, but really for you to make a decision or know about these things, you really want to lay your hands on it and try to work with it. And the good thing is it's not hard at all to do that. If you go at our Infowise site, if you click on the big green button under Quick Start, you can go to installation, and like I say, you can get our full software, not limited in any way, for 30 days. So that's definitely the most important thing you can do. If you go in there, just click download, and then you just select, depending on whether you're SharePoint Line or on-premise. We're happy to help if you have any challenges with that. Another thing you can do, if you want to, you can request a demo. If you want to have a private meeting with us and speak with us instead of having to use the chat interface or meeting, please just request a demo. We'll set up a web meeting. We'll talk to you. You talk to us about our project. You can build all kinds of things with this software. This is just one example of that. We do provide lots of information with our training modules for people who are new to the product and want to learn. And then we have well more than 100 articles in our tutorials that explain how to use each of our various tools. Okay, I did promise you guys I was going to give away a shirt, so let's do that. That'll be fun. What I'd like you to do in the interface is just enter one number only, please, 1 to 100, and make sure you're in the United States if you're doing this. This will be for the shirt, and I'm going to pick a winner in about 10 seconds. In about 5 seconds, I'm going to pick a winner. All right, we got a winner. Thank you. Adam Tibbetts, if you can for me, go ahead and send an email, Adam. That should go to willc@infowisesolutions.com. I need your shirt size, I need your address, and I'll mail it to you today. Thanks for that. And I'm going to, say if you guys have other questions too, you can email me directly as well. So like I say, my email is willc@infowisesolutions.com. And in a second, I'm going to go through the chat interface and try to answer some of those questions. We do have other examples of solutions. If you look at our webinars, I know a lot of folks on our call today are HR oriented or help out with HR or building this type of solutions. And there's a lot of other things related to this that you can do. Time tracking, onboarding, learning management systems. These are all typically types of systems. So I do encourage you to kind of check through some of those videos that would give you some ideas on what you can do. In terms of the template that I showed and how that installs and that type of thing, I want to describe how that works. So once you do have our tools installed, you're going to see this gray toolbar at the top, and you just click on Install Business Solutions. And in particular, what I want you to do is go to the Infowise Webinars tab. Last month, we showed a learning management system. I will post today the template for the tool that I just showed. You'll see it as the first box in this page. And once our software is installed, you just basically create a blank modern team site in SharePoint Online. Then you can come in here and click this, apply the template, and it will set up everything that I just showed you. And you can start to play around with it and do whatever you want. Okay, so I'm going to come to some of the questions now. For those of you guys who've been waiting forever, I'll appreciate that. Let's see what I can get. Okay, so there's a question, does it support SharePoint 2010? 2010 is kind of dropping support, so I don't know for sure. I think we have information on our website, but that's kind of reaching end of life in terms of support. It is for Microsoft and for our tool. So I have to follow up on that one. Thank you for that question. If you're SharePoint 2013 on up, you're rock solid and good to go. In terms of time zones, I don't think you would have any issues with that. There's no unique challenges as far as our tools. That's really kind of more of a SharePoint question, but as far as how this tools work, you don't actually enter like an hour with the dates and that type of thing. So I don't believe you're going to have any kind of problem. You just put in the quantity of hours and the date. You're not actually picking a start date time, so I don't think you have any issues with that. Let me kind of dig through some of the other questions and see if there's anything else I can answer in our presentation. Let's see. Somebody said they were having trouble finding our website. If you just Google Infowise, you'll find it as the very first listing. There's a question about doing a different increment than 4 hours. The way that I had that set up, you could enter any number of hours. It was, it could be 1 to 8 or whatever, but that's really just according to what your own organization business process is. So it just totals the hours. If you recall, in my dashboard for requests, it just has the total number of hours. So it could be 2 hours or 4 hours. It's just according to whatever your business rules. It would work perfectly for that. Oh, yeah. Somebody asked if the manager can be set up automatically. You can do that. That's a part of our tools. It's called a user properties field, just for the purpose of making our template simple and applicable to everybody. I don't have that set, but yes, that's not hard to do. You can make that auto-populate. Company-wide paid holiday. Yeah, I think what you would do typically is just put that on the calendar page. So that definitely could be accommodated. This is really about tracking what's going on with those individual employees. And also there's unpaid leave too, which doesn't eat into their totals. You can track that too as one of the categories. Can you do auto approval? You can set that up. You can do a business rule, if you recall, through the actions. I can create logic, and that can be timer based. So if that's something you desire, if you want a system where the vacation requests auto approve, you can do that. That might be a little dangerous in this kind of system, but definitely that's possible. How do you pull in the managers? Like I say, that's a user property field. Let me see if I can find it in our interface. It's a special column that we offer. There it is. So that kind of goes beyond the scope of what I can present today, but that is the field you want to take a look at. We do provide tutorials and information on that, but you can have it auto-populate manager based on that. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share and the audio, but we'll keep the presentation open. I'm going to continue to try to make sure all questions are open in chat. Once again, if somehow we missed you or didn't provide a satisfactory response, please do email. And you can email to me or to sales@infowisesolutions.com. Or as they say, what you should do is go to our website and just ask for me to click request a demo, give us your name, a little bit of information on what you're trying to do. We'll set up a web meeting with you. We'll talk with you one-on-one, and we'll help to get your specific questions answered. That's about everything for our presentation. I really appreciate you guys coming today. I do really think this kind of system can be fast and easy. I know there's some challenges and unique things that come to this, but I really feel that these tools will let you build this kind of solution and make it look really awesome and easy for everybody to use. So I hope that helped you, and thank you again for joining, and hope to see you guys again in the future.